Does this defense have any heart?
No, they suck. I've been telling you all season, Philly.
Shit on you. They've shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Slide. They shit on you. They've shit on you. They have shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Slide. They shit on you. Kill them.
Oh my goodness! Did he say they cock it on them?
I hate the style of defense.
Oh my goodness! I love it. Oh man! Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Joe Boo's upstairs. Don't worry, he's here. Tonight we'll be live streaming from downstairs. We've been working on the upstairs space and things, and it is going to be beautiful. It's going to look so much better. You know how they always say, pardon our dust because they're under construction. That's how we've been since the end of last football season. And by the time the Super Bowl gets here, we will be ready. I don't know if we're going to be here or not, but because of you guys, because we listen here at the Joe Boo Sports Report, I've been here for 3 Dallas Cowboy games. And for those 3 Dallas Cowboy games, we have won. So you guys said this game is huge. So you want us here. So we're going to be here. We're going to have a big sub here. I don't know that I have enough people to eat it. Maybe I have to invite some of the people around for it. I don't know what kind of sub we're going to make, but it's not going to be a steak and cheese because we are 0-2 when we had the steak and cheese sub. So we will be ready come Sunday to watch our Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's what's interesting before I get into the meat of everything out here. Speaking of meat, we're talking about a meathead here in Philly 500. You know, I've been wondering, is Philly okay? But Philly is keeping kind of a low profile right now. You know, typically, Philly 500 always opens up his videos with me and Michael Anthony and E2 Blue and stuff, where we were losing, and you know, you got the brother screwed us. And you know, always talking about Mark Holmes and Dak Prescott and how much we stink and everything else. But take a look this morning at what we got from Philly 500's last video.
The disrespect for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles is unreal, and it's unprecedented. It has gotten so bad that now you have media guys actually calling for his benching. Yo, by the way, kick things back here. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. So you know how I feel right now about Sunday's game coming up with the Cowboys? You know how I feel? I feel like the Dallas Cowboys, and I think it's coming on Sunday. And when David Carr isn't running around in his backyard on his clothesline or digging in the dirt, collecting rocks, you know, and all that kind of stuff, the goofy bastard is saying some of the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. And if you don't think this is disrespectful, I don't know what is, because this proves Philadelphia Eagle fans' thought and feelings about Jalen Hurts and how the media looks at the Eagles and at Jalen Hurts and all our players. The disrespect is real. It's real. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, hit that like button.
Okay, so no mention of me or my son, you know, Michael Anthony Fitness Reaction Gig Economy and the brother screwed us. Nothing about the Dallas Cowboys stink. Oh, no, actually, he does have that in the beginning. My bad. But definitely a low incognito Philly 500. Now, you know, Dak Prescott said, you know, don't poke the bear. And I know Jason out there who's always sending me stuff, the 49er fan. Now 49er fans, I got a beef with you guys. Now, listen. We rooted for you last week, okay? We rooted for you last week, okay? Which, you know, that definitely helped it out. You know, maybe some of the Cowboys' mojo helped the Eagles look like trash. But now, you need our help. You need our help now because the Eagles went out. You're still second seed. What you did last week means nothing if we don't beat the Eagles one game. So why are you being so disrespectful and trashing the hell out of us this week? I mean, come on, bro. What the F? What the F? Anyway, you guys do have a desperate team that you're facing this weekend in Seattle, and that is a division game. Just saying. But you 49er fans should be hopeful that we do something. Now, here's the thing. Right now, we're pretty much settled in the 5th seed. We are settled in the 5th seed. And even if we win this game, we still need the Eagles to lose another one. And they got the Giants twice. Now, we do have the power of Rashid and us being Giant fans for the rest of the year. We're going to need some help. So in all likelihood, the Eagles will get their shit together and hold on to it. But for the Eagles, so we really have nothing to lose in this game. We're going to be a playoff team. We're going to be the 5th seed, okay? The Packers or the Minnesota Vikings or whoever it may end up being that's going to be switching week to week, they're not going to catch us to be the 5th seed. We're pretty much locked in there. You want to win this game. Don't get me wrong. You want to win this game for no other reason to shut up the talking heads that say we can't beat a winning team. If you lose it, you're not losing anything. The Eagles, on the other hand, they have a lot to lose because if they're in a head-to-head tie with the Eagles, which we're assuming that the 49ers, then they're now going to play the first weekend, wild card weekend. They won't have that extra week for Jalen Hurts to rest. And in all likelihood, if they can get a victory over the Cowboys, they may be able to just coast in maybe the last game of the season, rest everybody until that first round gig, which would be 3 weeks for Jalen Hurts to heal, which is what Derek Carr was basically saying. So this game is more important, actually, for the Eagles than the Cowboys. Now, that being said, I want to demoralize the Eagles. I literally want to hear Philly 500 Game Time literally saying that the Dallas Cowboys
disrespected yet? Does this defense have any heart?
No, they suck. I've been telling you all season, Philly.
Shit on you. They've shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they shit on you. They've shit on you. They have shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they shit on you. Kill them.
Oh my goodness! Did he say they cock it on them?
Hate the style of defense.
That's what I want to see, bro. That's what I want to see. I want to see Philly 500 melting down, losing his shit. Actually, I want to see my team lose their shit on them. But be that as it may, you get what I'm saying. Now, for the Cowboys, we got no excuses. We have no excuses. We have the longest current win streak at home. We've been playing so much better at home than we have been away. We right now are the healthier team. We've got some extra days of rest. Now, here's my thought process because, see, as people will go back and continue to point to the Arizona Cardinals game and point to the 49ers game, you have to understand that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to affect change, okay? And I'm not sure which one of these two things it is, and maybe it's a combination of both. One, the Cowboys changed offensive coordinators, of course, to Brian Schottenheimer, who does not get enough credit. And as I pointed out last night at my fireside chat, Russell Wilson's best year, where he had 40 TDs and 13 interceptions and 7.2 touchdown percentage and a 51% success rate and was leading the NFL, was when Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator. Changing the offense, takes time. You don't have 6 weeks of training camp, 2-a-days to work on everything to get all this stuff together. You're not going full speed. The first 4 or 5 games of the season, you're still in learning mode. And what we saw was after the San Francisco 49er game, they took the training wheels off. And they just said, Dak, we need you to be that guy. We're going to do the things that you want to do, because you could see CD was flustered. You could see Dak Prescott was flustered. Dak Prescott started running some. He ended up going down deep. We ended up using things. And what you saw was like a totally different install for the offense. You take the offense for the first 4 weeks of the season and then look at it then the next 4 games after it, and it looks like 2 totally different offenses. You started seeing CD being turned loose. And what you saw was it felt like every week we were doing something else to add another piece to it. So we got CD Lamb going, okay, getting him going. You know, all of a sudden where he was getting less than 50 yards a game, he was getting 150 yards. Then you saw them add Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks started getting into it, okay? Or actually it was Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson, before Brandon Cooks, really started getting going. And you were looking and saying, Tony Pollard's not looking quite right. He was a little nicked up and things. But then the last couple of weeks, you've seen them get Tony Pollard going. So here's what I'm thinking, okay? Now, I know Mike McCarthy ended up being in the hospital, getting his appendix taken out. He's out. He's okay. Should be back practice, I think, today. If not, he will be tomorrow. He'll be calling plays on Sunday. If he's not, I think we're still okay, because Brian Schottenheimer has been his right-hand man, and they basically are doing this as a committee, play calling in the offense. And you've got Dan Quinn, who can take over as head coach as he did last year for us. So we're okay. But I look to see the Cowboys add another wrinkle. Because, see, this is the thing that has been great for the Cowboys is they've been adding something different. It hasn't been just CeeDee Lamb, who is one of the highest vote getters, who now has more yards than A.J. Brown and seems to be ascending and is number 2 in yards and TDs behind Tyreek Hill and looking to beat Michael Irvin's single-season record. You see Brandon Cooks, who's stepping up. I don't know if he'll get to that 1,000 yards or not, but he is all of a sudden becoming a great weapon. You're seeing Jake Ferguson start to look a little bit like, say, I don't know, like a George Kittle? I said look like. Don't kill me, 49er fans, okay? Or should I say Travis Kelce? I'm not saying he's not on their level, but I'm saying he's headed in that direction. And Tony Pollard now is becoming a weapon again. So look for this week to see another wrinkle. Now, here's where the good news really comes in for the Cowboys, is we actually ended up getting Peyton Hendershot back. Peyton Hendershot is another good weapon, although he struggled the first game of the season and stuff. Getting him and getting those 2 tight end formations is going to be huge, especially now that Schoonmaker is doing better. So look for something different this week against the Eagles, because the Cowboys had those 3 extra days of rest. You're healthy. You've added another piece of your puzzle, and you want to throw something different. And more than anything else, what I can say has been one of the big reasons why the Cowboys have done so much better is, and I pointed this out last year when we said we were changing offensive coordinators, I said the Cowboys' offense will be better if for no other reason as it's going to be more unpredictable, because you're not going to see the same stuff that Kellen Moore has done, which was a continuation of Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett. The Cowboys will be more unpredictable. And because they've been able to put a new wrinkle in each week, teams have not been able to stop this offense. And since we are having some home cooking, and since Dak Prescott has been on this tear, and since Dak Prescott has pretty much owned the Eagles in his career, and we'll get into the numbers later on, it has been astounding what Dak Prescott has been doing, even in the loss that we had early in the season. Let's listen in to the talking heads and get what they have to say today on Get Up. I'm sorry, NFL Live.
And here's a reminder that Dak Prescott enters the game playing arguably the best football of his career as he leads the NFL in QBR and passing touchdowns. He'll look to exploit an Eagles defense that has been one of the worst in the NFL at defending the pass. Philly has allowed the highest QBR and the second most passing touchdowns in the league.
Ouch.
In the previous meeting between these two teams just over a month ago, remember, Prescott threw for 374 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dan, as we talk about the Cowboys' offense against the Eagles' defense in this first round of talking about this game, what do you want to see this Eagles defense do on Sunday?
I just think you got to tell Darius Slay and James Bradbury this is an earn your paycheck game. And by doing that, you tell those guys you're going to be singled up a ton. We got to protect the middle of the field because that's where we've been vulnerable. Number 2, you better have a plan for Jake Ferguson. Right now, Philadelphia defensively is allowing a QBR of 95 to tight ends.
Ouch.
That would be the worst since 2016 by any defense. So you better have a plan for him because he's surging. And then if you go back to that last game they played about a month ago, and that fourth quarter performance by Dak Prescott, the lack of interior push or plan by their defensive tackle showed up. Watch both these guys here. That's a gashing hole for Dak Prescott to step up in. Lack of discipline. Another situation, both of these guys, and I understand they're playing against good players, but these guys for Philadelphia defensive tackle, the Jalen Carters and the Fletcher Cox, there's a lack of discipline there. Another example of just letting that run game get pushed. So the lack of plan, the execution, the rush security when it comes
Does
to
Dan sound like he's worried for the Eagles?
Dak Prescott to step up in. So, and Marcus talks about that all. I think that interior rush has got to play with great effort, but even more so, like unbelievable discipline, because that's when Dak got hot in that last meeting.
Yeah, you mentioned him getting hot. Hawk, when you think about Dak and company, they have been an issue for defenses in recent weeks. What changed for them?
You know, it's what Dan talked about with Ferguson coming on, as well as specifically Brandon Cooks at the wide receiver position. Like, he's really been an X factor. Yes, CeeDee Lamb has been incredible down the field, but because Brandon Cooks has come on so strong, it's allowed them to really have a balanced passing attack and force defenses to approach them honestly. Now, I went back and watched the Arizona game that the Cardinals lost early in the season. That was kind of a surprise to everyone. And you could so visibly see that Cooks and Dak were not on the same page, from, you know, quick game in the sticks, from him expecting him to sit down versus man-to-man approaches. But now when you watch the film at this part of the season, Cooks is on top of it. Cooks is on top of it. Him and Dak are
so
seeing the same thing.
So have they changed the routes that they're using him in?
They haven't. What has happened is, in the West Coast offense, it is such a precise offense, and it requires so much detail that it just takes time to get on the same page. Your quarterback and your receiver have to be seeing the same things at the same time. And when you watch the film now, Cook and Dak, specifically in the middle of the field, are doing that at a very high clip.
Yeah, they're in a nice rhythm. All right, so Marcus Spears joins us just in time to talk about the Cowboys offense. What do you want to see out of them, Swagoo, against the Eagles on Sunday?
Add another element, Boogie. I want to see the run game get going. Just some explosive runs. I'm not talking about handing it off 30 times in this game. Obviously, the Cowboys are what they are because of what Dak is doing and pushing the ball downfield to these weapons. But I think this is another layer that they have to get going, right? Remember the thought that we had about Tony Pollard. People talked about him being the 3-down back now. He's going to be the feature guy. But along with him and Rico Dowdle, it is a changeup. Dowdle is the more powerful guy in between the tackles. And obviously Tony Pollard with the explosiveness when he finds a lane or a crease. But I think if you Dallas and you're thinking about not only this Philly game, but as you push forward, these games become much and much easier if you add this element to your game. Offensively, explosive down the field. We've talked about it. We've celebrated. We've applauded it. But this is one of those areas that I think they need to get going, or it could get you in these big games down the stretch.
Yeah, the Cowboys 3.5-point favorites at home. They've scored at least 40 points and 4 straight by surprise. What exactly is going on in Dallas today?
Well, Mike McCarthy wasn't on the injury report officially, but he did miss practice because he was diagnosed with appendicitis, and he's undergone surgery today. You know, because he's devising the game plans and now calling the plays for the highest scoring offense in the league for the first time in Dallas, Mike McCarthy's importance to Dak Prescott and the players has never been higher. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn was emphatic about his belief that McCarthy will recover from the appendectomy scheduled for today in time to fulfill his normal role Sunday night against the Eagles. In fact, he predicted McCarthy would be online tonight looking at practice video from today while beginning that recovery. McCarthy was here at the team facility this morning when he told Quinn he was experiencing severe abdominal pain. Quinn told McCarthy he didn't look well. He then went to be examined by the doctors, and the diagnosis of appendicitis was made. Quinn said players were informed during their walkthrough about the situation. The Cowboys depended upon their 3 veteran coordinators, Quinn, Brian Schottenheimer, and special teams coach Jim Fossil, to supervise their first practice of the week for the Eagles today. It seems worth noting that Quinn has extensive head coaching experience from time with the Falcons. He was also the interim head coach when McCarthy missed a December game in New Orleans 2 years ago. They defeated the Saints by 10 in the Superdome when McCarthy tested positive for COVID, an experience the players feel may benefit them now.
Shout out to COVID. It helped us.
Shout out to COVID.
Quickly.
Not something you hear too often.
But definitely praying for him to get back, healthy as soon as possible. And, he knows we're getting ready and we'll be ready.
Well, the difference from 2 years ago when McCarthy missed his only game is that Kellen Moore at the time was the play caller, not McCarthy. If McCarthy, Laura, misses the game, which is not the expectation, presumably the play calling would belong to offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, who was appointed to that position this offseason. He's been an offensive play caller for numerous teams for many years in his long coaching career, but this is the first time he's been an offensive coordinator and didn't have play calling responsibility. But again, the Cowboys think McCarthy will be there to fulfill his normal head coaching role on Sunday night.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's what we have right there. And, again, a lot of people still will doubt what the Cowboys are doing. I know they'll say, excuse me, they'll say that, the Cowboys have had a soft schedule and all these different things and yada, yada, yada. But, excuse me, I apologize. But I'm going to say that it's really not the same team. If you remember how the first 4 or 5 games, they kept saying that, where is Brandon Cooks? Why did they sign that guy? Right now, Brandon Cooks is right around 497 yards, 13.4 yards per reception, and 5 TDs, which is second on the team for TDs, tied with Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson, again, same thing, 498 yards that he's gotten on the season and 5 TDs. You weren't getting that production from those 2 guys when we played San Francisco. And quietly, Tony Pollard has turned things around where he's back to running 4.1 yards per carry. He was around 3.8 there for a while and has 737 yards. So he will be a 1,000-yard rusher, we believe, by the end of the season. So things are trending up. But remember, it's the NFL, and anything can happen from week to week. Anything can happen from week to week, as Green Bay proved in Kansas City. I'm Mark Holmes, and, we appreciate you guys. Peace.
Disrespected yet? Does this defense have any heart?
No, they suck. I've been telling you all season, Philly.
Shit on you. They've shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they shit on you. They've shit on you. They have shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they shit on you. Kill them.
Oh my goodness! Did he say they cock it on them?